Hello and welcome to our third and final advanced presentation of the Fairfax County Site-Specific Plan Amendment process for Mason District. This presentation will focus on the third and final grouping of Mason District SSPA nominations, including PC 19-MA-004 for 4312 Ravensworth Road and PC 19-MA-005, which includes a series of properties located around 7616 Little River Turnpike. As a quick refresher, let's talk briefly about the screening phase of the SSPA process, what it is, and most importantly, what decisions are being made at this stage of the process. The screening phase is the first step in the SSPA process, where proposed changes to the county's comprehensive plan are assessed by staff from the county's Department of Planning and Development, alongside a district task force comprised of local residents and property owners. The screening phase will help the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors determine which nominations should receive additional analysis and consideration by county staff and placement on the county's 2021 Comprehensive Plan Amendment Work Program. The work program is a listing of plan amendments that are thoroughly evaluated by county staff in partnership with the community. The primary question we're tasked with answering today is whether each nomination should be added to the county's 2021 Plan Amendment Work Program. This will be the focus of the task force and staff for our upcoming meetings. Please note that this does not include rendering support or approval of a potential plan amendment. The criteria by which the task force and staff assess a nomination during the screening phase should consider whether the proposal is contrary to adopted county policy and/or if additional analysis is warranted to better understand a proposal's impacts. Following task force consideration, both staff and the task force's recommendations will be presented before the Planning Commission for a public hearing. The Planning Commission will consider each recommendation along with public input and provide their recommendation to the county's Board of Supervisors. The board will vote to determine which nominations to include on the county's 2021 work program. This entire process occurs during the screening phase. After the screening phase concludes, staff will work with the task force to further study and assess the merits of the nominations adopted onto the work program. This includes an impacts analysis, including assessments of transportation, stormwater, and other public facility impacts. Please note that timeframes for each phase of the planning process may vary. For additional information regarding the screening phase or the SSPA process, please visit our SSPA Track a Nomination webpage. Process documents, informational videos, and meeting registration links can be found here under the Mason District Task Force section. For the 2020 South County SSPA process, a total of 6 nominations were submitted within the Mason District, 4 in the northern portion of the district surrounding the Seven Corners Community Business Center, and 2 in the southern portion of the district within the Annandale Community Business Center. Our third advanced presentation and fourth task force meeting will focus on 2 nominations, both in the Annandale Community Business Center, or CBC. PC 19-MA-004 for a self-storage facility on Ravensworth Road, and PC 19-MA-005 for a mixed-use development in the western portion of the Annandale CBC. With that, I'd like to turn things over to my colleague, Brian Boteo, to discuss each of these nominations further.
Nomination PC 19-MA-004, which we're referring to as the public storage nomination, includes a single parcel on 4312 Ravensworth Road, just south of Little River Turnpike. This parcel is located on subunit B2 of the Annandale CBC, or Community Business Center. The nominated property is 1.76 acres in size and since the 1970s has been developed as a single-story, non-climate controlled public storage of cinder block construction. The storage units are accessed directly via roll-up garage doors. For reference, the aerial photograph here is oriented to the south. Ravensworth Road forms the eastern boundary of a portion of the property, while the other portion is bounded by an automobile service station. The Messiah Presbyterian Church is located behind the public storage to the west. Besides those two properties, the public storage is generally surrounded by low-rise, automobile-oriented commercial development. The current comprehensive plan for the Annandale CBC envisions a walkable community with commercial and residential developments that serve pedestrians. In order to achieve this, the comprehensive plan discourages storage facilities within the Annandale CBC. Future development in the Annandale CBC is also guided by a form-based planning approach. Instead of the usual measures like floor area ratio or dwelling units per acre, the Annandale plan sets maximum building heights and recommended land uses for each subunit. For subunit B2, where the public storage is located, the plan recommends residential or commercial mixed-use development up to 6 stories in height. In addition to recommending building heights, the Annandale plan contains other design recommendations. It recommends that new streets and pedestrian corridors should be utilized to create separate blocks within the subunit. The plan states that buildings should be located close to the sidewalk and parking away from the frontage. These design recommendations all serve to encourage walking and to activate the street. For all redevelopment proposals within the CBC, the comprehensive plan highly encourages parcel consolidation as a means to achieve the vision of the plan. The nomination proposes to replace the current self-storage facility with an approximately 153,332 square foot climate-controlled self-storage facility up to 4 stories in height. The concept included in the nomination depicts a pad site, a self-storage facility located in the center of the property, surrounded by pavement and enclosed within retaining walls and a gate at the front of the property. Parking is proposed adjacent to Ravensworth Road at the entrance to the site. As mentioned previously, the Annandale Plan's recommendations center around creating a high-quality mix of pedestrian-oriented uses. The existing comprehensive plan explicitly discourages storage facilities within the CBC as a primary use, as they detract from the vision of a vibrant urban community. The plan states that if storage facilities are to be considered, they should be incorporated into a mixed-use development. The nomination proposes that the new self-storage facility be set back from the street, while the parking would be located adjacent to the sidewalk. This runs counter to the previously mentioned recommendations of locating parking further away from the street and locating buildings closer to the sidewalk. By doing so, the self-storage facility would perpetuate the automobile-oriented development seen in Annandale today. Finally, the comprehensive plan recommends parcel consolidation as a means to create new blocks and pedestrian connections within the subunit. No parcel consolidation was proposed in this nomination. And while the nomination states that the site could accommodate north-south and east-west circulation through the property, the feasibility of these connections seems uncertain. This nomination would further benefit from parcel consolidation, as the minimal frontage on Ravensworth Road limits opportunity for pedestrian-oriented design. For these reasons, staff does not support adding nomination PC19-MA-004 to the 2021 Comprehensive Plan Work Program for further study. Nomination PC19-MA-005 contains 9 parcels at the western end of the Annandale CBC. 4 of the 9 properties are located within the boundaries of the CBC in subunit G1. The remaining 5 are residential properties outside of the CBC. The entire nomination area is located north of Little River Turnpike between Hummer Road and Woodland Road. The 4 parcels within the Annandale CBC are developed with 2 7-story office buildings and an associated structure, as well as surface-level parking. The 5 nearby parcels outside of the CBC are developed with single-family detached homes. Combined, these 9 parcels are approximately 9.96 acres in size. Other nearby properties within the CBC, on both sides of Little River Turnpike, are developed for commercial uses. The areas outside of the CBC and to the north and east of the nominated parcels are developed as single-family detached residences. West of the nominated area, across Hummer Road, is developed as townhomes. Recommendations for the nominated parcels are found in 2 places in the plan. For the 4 parcels within the CBC, future development is guided by the Annandale CBC plan. As with the previous nomination, also located within the Annandale CBC, this area follows a form-based planning approach. Subunit G1 is recommended for commercial mixed-use development up to 8 stories in height. For subunit G1, the plan also states that commercial uses should not extend beyond what is currently zoned and developed for commercial uses. Notably, the plan also recommends that development north of Little River Turnpike be oriented toward Little River Turnpike and taper down in height to the north. Lastly, it also recommends providing a significant buffer between the commercial development and the residential uses to the north. The 5 parcels located outside of the CBC boundary are recommended for residential development at 2 to 3 dwelling units per acre. The nomination proposes to expand the CBC boundary to encompass the 5 residential properties and add residential as a recommended use in subunit G1. These changes have been suggested in order to allow a proposed approximately 834,490 square foot mixed-use development, which would incorporate the 2 existing office buildings and be composed of 575 mid-rise multifamily residential units, 156,600 square feet of office, and 100,000 square feet of retail. I'll now go over what staff considered when forming our recommendations for this nomination. CBC-wide objectives recommend establishing transitional areas between the CBC and neighboring residential areas, and preventing the encroachment of higher intensity commercial uses into such areas. Subunit recommendations reinforce this by stating that the commercial areas north of Little River Turnpike should not extend beyond what is currently zoned and developed as commercial uses. The concept in this nomination did not establish a transitional area, and it expands commercial uses beyond the area currently zoned and developed for commercial uses. As proposed, the nomination may result in an inappropriate encroachment of commercial uses into the residential neighborhood, which runs contrary to the vision of the plan. Current comprehensive plan guidelines for subunit G1 recommend orienting development toward Little River Turnpike. The assemblage of parcels in this nomination prevents that, and the concept that accompanied this nomination depicted buildings that were oriented toward the interior of the site. The nomination proposes a residential component of a mixed-use development. This is at odds with recommendations for the entirety of subunit G1, which the plan envisions as being developed for commercial uses. For these reasons, staff does not support adding nomination PC19-MA-005 to the 2021 Comprehensive Plan Work Program for further study.
Thanks, Brian. If needed, our last Mason District SSPA Task Force meeting for the screening phase is scheduled for Wednesday, September 9th at 7 p.m. To attend, please visit our SSPA Track a Nomination webpage to register via the WebEx virtual meeting platform. If you have any questions or would like additional information regarding the Mason District SSPA nominations or the SSPA process, we're happy to assist you. We appreciate your time and look forward to your continued participation in the 2020 South County SSPA process.